Alright, so I have to see this developer tab if I have to access the macros. If this developer tab is not open, you'll not be able to work with macros. Correct? So now depending on what access rights you have got to the machines that you have in front of you, you may or may not see the developer tab. Right? So in case you don't see it, you'll have to enable it. So let me first show you where to enable it from. So if you go to the MS Office button and go to Excel options, right? In this, it will say show developer tab in the ribbon. See under popular. So this should be selected. Unless this is selected, you will not get the access to this macros part. Alright. Now, I am straight away going to go ahead and I am going to record a macro. So let me say record macro and the name is macro1. So I'll say create file. This is a name that I want to give. Create file macro. And I'll say okay. Now I'm going to file new. I hope it has started recording. And create the sheet. Okay. And home. Page layout. Now here I am going to select my margins. So I say they should be point, left should be 1.0. Alright. Right should be 1.0. Top is 1.2. Bottom is 1.2. Okay. I go to header footer. I say custom header. In center I say Mac Pandit. Okay. Custom footer in the center I say copyright 2014 Technorights Private Limited. Alright. And I'll say okay. Now I'm going to type text here. So I'm going to say date. What is today's date? 16th July 2014 and save. Okay. And the name I'm going to give is test file 16 July. Alright. Now I go to developer and I say stop recording the macro. Let's see if my macro is recorded or not. So I'm going to go to macros and right, it says create file, edit. So this is the code that has got recorded. So every action that I have taken, like I workbooks add, so this is where I created a worksheet and then page setup and then I said change the dimensions. If you see 1.2, 1.2, 1.1, right, and so on. So all that has got recorded. Okay, and then I saved the file as 16 July. Fine. Now I'm going to make a slight change here, which is I'm going to call this as 17 July. Otherwise, when I run this macro, it will give me error saying that the file exists. Okay, and I say save. Let's try to run the macro. So we'll say run. Did you see it? Test file 17 July.xls got created. So my macro has successfully run. So you can see here that this file is now successfully created. I'll create it, I'll run the macro once again. But let's go ahead and check the header footer. Header footer aana chahiye na? What should be there in the header? Mac Pandit and then copyright whatever. So let's go and check that. So we are going to say that print preview. So is it there? Is the footer there? Yes. How do you know I am not showing you the same file? So let's close this. This was your 16 July file, see? So let's close both of those files. And we go to developer, we go to macro. If I run this again, what should happen? It should create one more file with 17 July. Try to save it and give an error. Let's see. Correct? So it says file exists. And if you watch this, I'll say okay, overwrite. So once again, if you go there and see, so print, preview, your header, footer and everything is there. So just now I have written a macro in front of you which creates a file, sets the properties, blah, blah, blah. Correct? And where is the macro code? The macro code is right here. If you go to edit, this is your macro code. So this is what is called as VBA or Visual Basic for Applications. This code has got developed while we were doing those actions manually. So I don't know the programming. Haji, thank you very much. So I don't know the programming, right? But while I was working with it, I have taken the steps. This code has got automatically built in the background. Correct? So if our logic is correct, let's make this what? 18 July. Save it. सेव करने से पहले और कुछ चेंज करते हैं. See this setting, correct? Left margin कितना है? 1. So we'll make this 1.5. We'll make this 1.5. All right. And this Mac Pandit ka will say this is Makarand Pandit, and this will say 2015. All right. So what did I do? I just made changes to the macro. I edited that macro. Run the macro. What should happen when I run the macro now? Now my margin will be different, my header footer will be different, and the file name should be 18 July. Done? 18 July has come. Let's go ahead and check the margin. So we say, where is it? Page layout and margins. What are the margins? 1.5 आ गया? Correct? Header and footer क्या देखते हैं हम लोग? मकरम पंडित आ गया, 2015 आ गया. So my macro is working. Right? Now what can I really use a macro for? I can use it for anything that I can do in Excel. मैं जो कुछ भी Excel में करता हूं, मैं उसमें से किसी भी चीज के लिए macro डाल सकता हूं. Correct? So let me create one more macro for you. Right? So I'm going to say developer, record macro, and here I'm going to say find, replace. All right. Okay. And I'm going to say control F, which is find. Right. And I'm going to say find Mac and replace with Makaran. Right. Replace all. Okay. Close. Stop recording. There was no Mac in there, but my macro has got recorded. Let's check. So we say macro find, replace, edit. So what does it say? Find Mac and replace with Makaran. All right. Okay. Now I am actually going to type Mac here. And see, मेरा भी logic fail होगा देखना. So I have already typed Makarand in some place. Now I am going to run the macro. क्या होगा? ये Mac का Makarand होगा, इसका भी होगा, इसका भी होगा और इसका भी होगा. So Makarand run हो जाएगा. So let's go ahead and check that. So we say macro find, replace and run. Right? So my macro is working. Right? So let's take a break and we come back. So then you actually practice this on your own. Haji. Shortcut for macro. You can create a shortcut key when you are recording. Even if you have not done that, you can assign it afterwards. whenever you record ना, when you say record a macro, देखो इधर शॉर्टकट की का ऑप्शन आता है, तो तभी अगर आप स्पेसिफाई करते हो तो असाइन हो जाएगा. बट डोंट असाइन समथिंग विच इज बाय डिफॉल्ट असाइन टू अ सिस्टम फंक्शन. सो कंट्रोल एस को मैक्रो असाइन करोगे, बाद में सेव करने के लिए कंट्रोल एस करोगे, वो सेव नहीं करेगा, वो मैक्रो रन करेगा. सो डोंट यूज एनीथिंग विच इज अ पार्ट ऑफ द स्टैंडर्ड सिस्टम फंक्शंस. दैट्स व्हाई मैं टिपिकली मैक्रो को शॉर्टकट की असाइन नहीं करता, बट यू कैन डू इट. टेक्निकली इट्स पॉसिबल टू डू. ऑलराइट, macros